You're going to get the screen you're going to get. And if it's got my notes, it's got my notes, and I apologize for that.
That's fine. Go for it.
All right. So again, thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to be with you today. Thanks to the Federation, and thank you, Ivan, for the gracious introduction. What I really want to talk about today is that, you mentioned it earlier, and if you did have the opportunity to ever see the documentary on Ted Turner, it actually ran on CNN, surprise, surprise, but it really is an interesting one. I never thought of him as being such an environmentalist at his core, and it was just amazing what he was doing around sustainable agriculture, and it was just completely fascinating to watch. So thanks, Ivan. I'm Gil Miner. I'm the new VP Operations Atlantic for FCC, and my predecessor, Faith Matchett, as you may well have had the opportunity to visit with in the past and hear her speak in the past, is certainly enjoying her retirement. And she is finishing up her PhD work, which is really interesting. And she certainly passes on her greetings to you all. She certainly does miss it, but is enjoying her retirement. All right, let's get to the next slide. So that is on what I'd like to talk about essentially is what we are seeing and dealing with in terms of some of the new terminology, and this is specifically around what we call ESG, and that stands for environment, social, and governance. And I'd like just to talk to you about that, what we're doing at FCC, and then also what we're doing in terms of and what we're seeing out in the market, and what you can do as individuals and as associations, whatever the case may be. Cedric did speak a lot to that in a few moments ago, and in various forms or fashions in terms of that practical application of all of this. But this is certainly coming down the pipe. You've heard of it. It came out of the COP meetings in Glasgow over last year, and we're going to see more and more of it all the time. So what is it? So I said ESG, environment, social, governance, and the definition is the quantifiable measurement of a company's sustainable and societal impacts using criteria-led metrics that matter to stakeholders. And that's a big mouthful, but the key things there are quantifiable, sustainable, and social metrics that matter. So of course, when we talk about governance, what do we mean? Well, governance are those things that you as business people decide on. How is the business going to be structured? How are decisions going to be made? It's the framework for all of those things, how we put our plans into action, how we get what we need done. The social part of it is, what's our social impact of our business to our world? It's based on the decisions we make around the hiring practices that we have, the impacts, how we contribute to our society, those kinds of things. And certainly the environment is, what can we control in terms of our environmental impact? And then of course, what we can do to help support our environment. So the topics that we've got here that we've talked about, and we've got 19 of them all together, but these are just a few to give you a taste of what we're focused on at FCC. So under the environmental side of it, things about climate change, waste, water, customer resilience. What I mean about customer resilience here is it's the ability to support customers and agriculture to make the decisions that they need help with in order for them to continue doing what you do and helping the decisions that you make every day in your business. On the social side of it, it talks about diversity, equity, and inclusion, obviously from a hiring practices point of view, human rights, social justice issues, support for underrepresented groups, data privacy, security, and others. And on the governance side of it, it's certainly about ethics, integrity, and how our board representation is made up. Do we have enough diversity? Do we have diversity of backgrounds, ideas, education, experience, all those kinds of things to bring that richness forward so that we can be better to support Canadian agriculture. So the next one is about, some of the things that we've seen over the last little bit, and in ESG, and why now? And it's to support our customers. We've seen this over the last year, just a tremendous variety of weather-related impacts, and there's many others too, but certainly some of the things that have been grabbing the headlines are, record-breaking droughts we've seen through the prairies in Western Canada, and if not 2, but 3 atmospheric rivers hitting BC, and just the dramatic impact that can have. So how is it therefore that we can work towards supporting our customers in adapting and putting some mitigation practices in play, whatever the case may be, in order to be able to continue in your business? And all of this comes down to identifying what the risks are in your business under each one of those things, under environment, social, and governance modeling, and what that means for you and your business. And on the flip side, what does it mean in terms of what opportunities can be generated out of this? It's out of adversity, I truly believe that there is just an amazing opportunity for creativity and perhaps some change at the same time, and typically that is for the better. It gives us an opportunity. Think of us back when we started with COVID and we were in a lockdown. Zoom, Teams, everything just exploded. And in a way, I was actually talking to somebody on my cell phone today, and I was looking at the bloody thing, and I go, I don't know how long it's been since I've actually had just a phone call with somebody. It's usually on Teams, and I usually have somebody on the screen looking at me, and I'm looking at it on a phone, and I'm going, I miss that type of interaction. So there's always an opportunity no matter what it is. So start thinking about it. It's really about taking that opportunity to sit back, reflect, think, create that opportunity. Some of you may hear this term, ROSI for short, Return on Sustainable Investment, and there's been some work done at the University of New York, NYU, and Cargill sponsored some research there, and really we're able to see, based on a variety of different factors, an economic payback for employing and utilizing environmentally sustainable practices on farms. Cedric alluded to a number of them. Great, 10-point focus on those kinds of things. But really saw anywhere from a $90, $95 to $130 US return per acre. That may mean things like reduced fertilizer, actually getting paid for carbon sequestration, all kinds of different things like that, decreased fertilizer use, increased weather resilience by using low-till, no-till practices and reducing wind and water erosion and conserving the soil. There is an economic impact back to the producer by employing these kinds of things. So, when you look at things, sometimes there are costs to putting certain practices in place, absolutely. And then there can be a return on that. So, just as a personal example, back in November, I purchased myself an EV, an electric vehicle. Pure electric, it's nothing fancy, it's not a Tesla or anything else like that. It's a Hyundai Kona electric, a wonderful little car. I moved out of Moncton in 2021. My wife and I found a nice place out in the country, but driving the truck, it was costing me $25 a day just to go back and forth to work. Use the electric, I charge it at home. I have a home charging station. I'm fueled up, I'll call it, every day if I want it to be. Right in my own garage. It cost me $2.05 to do the same trip versus $25 in the truck. Now I'm going to keep the truck for sure because I need it for where I am. But where I did the math, and $22 a day, 5 days a week, maybe an extra one on the weekend. Doesn't take too long to add up to probably, $450, $500 a month. And again, doing the math as I do, if you think about it from a loan payment point of view, it basically offsets a loan payment except for about $50 a month. And for that $50, I'm really happy to be able to say, well, you know what, I'm driving a car, I'm doing my part. It has a great little thing on the display that says, here's how much less, carbon dioxide was emitted from not having a tailpipe on this vehicle. Now, of course, I didn't go in to think about, what was the cost, the environmental cost of manufacturing the batteries and doing those kinds of things, and the environmental cost of that, nor did I think about necessarily the environmental cost of that power generation. And I know, you can think about those things, absolutely. But for me and what we wanted to do, that was the best thing. Plus, I'm saving on I'm sure maintenance costs. I don't have to do oil changes. I don't have to do spark plugs, those kinds of things. So, it's about thinking about what are the opportunities again, and think about what you can do today. And again, there may be a little bit of cost up front. If there's a payback for you in the long run, probably worthwhile. So a number of hot topics you're probably hearing about in the news. These are some of the ones that I'm just capturing on this slide that we've gotten from our own research and from the news. Things about regenerative agriculture, land use and protection and restoration, biodiversity, greenhouse gases. It's all about thinking about what you can do, and Cedric alluded to a number of these too, that can have those environmental, social benefits, and perhaps some benefits that we're not even thinking about. Think about, protecting some land, growing something different on your land, using different rotation schedules. If there's land that's not economic for you, then is there an opportunity to reforest? Those things create opportunities for habitats for new pollinators, or reestablishment of pollinators that seemingly have been disappearing from some landscapes. Those kinds of things all have a benefit, and it's about thinking today for what we can do tomorrow. Here's an opportunity to see what some companies are doing. We're working on our ESG strategy here. McCain is a company I'm sure know about, have one already put in play. And so they're looking at it from here are their basic foundational pieces. So it talks about safety, inclusion, ethics, and security. And their pillars are around smart and sustainable farming, resource efficient operations, good food, and thriving communities, all in alignment with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. You can go on their website, you can find this public information. It's really how customers are doing for them what they're doing. And yes, there's going to be a ripple effect to producers, and it's thinking about that today and how it impacts you and what you can do differently to help live into all of that, because it's coming. There's just no way around it. Here's another well-known company, McDonald's, and you've seen their ads on TV, certainly focused on sustainable agriculture and beef. And this is really interesting. We want to create a positive impact, especially with beef farmers, in areas such as improving biodiversity, maintaining native grasslands, and capturing carbon, as well as rebuilding soils. The priorities are farmers' livelihoods, climate change, protecting water resources, conserving forests, reducing food and packaging waste, respecting human rights, promoting the health and welfare of animals. See many other companies, A&W, there's all kinds are out there and are speaking in these terms. And again, an economic benefit. Is there an opportunity to get some more revenue generated out of this in one form or fashion? Is it direct sale of products, or it's by other programs that help support these things? Cedric again alluded to some of those, and there could be many, many more. And I think those will continue just to evolve, and it's going to be a matter of staying on top of them and understanding what they are and taking advantage of them when you have the opportunity to do so. So again, this has just been a really high level conversation. We're still learning lots as we go along with everybody else, formulating what we're doing. And the ball is in our court. It's about what we can do for ourselves and thinking about it now, rather than having it thrust upon us, where sometimes we don't always have the opportunity to be able to be and decide what our future is all about. It's about being able to do that right now. So I'm soon going to wrap up. I just wanted to certainly make a plug of the FCC knowledge information that's available on our website. There's articles, videos, events, Agri-Success magazine that's virtual, podcasts, and newsletter. Just go to fcc.ca/knowledge, and you can get a whole host of information. There's a couple of cool events that are coming up over the next little bit. There's the FCC Women's Summit that's coming up on March 2nd. So go to fcc.ca/events, sign up for it right there. Great lineup of speakers, great opportunity to interact, get some super information. Hopefully that can be used in your business and to help both your business and yourself personally. The other one too is the Young Farmer Summit on March 22nd. And again, go to fcc.ca/events to sign up for that event. And again, just an awesome way to be able to interact with others and to gain some knowledge for both yourself and for your business. So thanks very much. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. And if there's any questions, I'm certainly open to take a few minutes if I'm allowed to answer anything that you may have that's on your mind. I may or may not have the answer, but I'll take notes and I'll get back to Nikki with the answer to share with the members of the Federation. Thank you,
can I just call up Jason in FCC and get through to you about information and financing about things like this?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. You can go on our website, and if you don't know Jason's number, I'll look to get it for you as quickly as I can, but you can certainly
yeah, I've got
get that. You can call me or call Jason for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Yep.
Are there any other questions or comments that people make? It's hard to see if I don't see any hands raised or nothing in the chat. On behalf of folks who are here and folks who aren't here, thanks so much for FCC's support for the Federation as well over the years. That's much appreciated. And thank you so much for the presentation today. And if people can, and however they do, clap at home. Thank you very much, Gil, for your presentation and your perspective.
You're welcome. I'm actually surprised to not have any questions about what interest rates are going to be.
Well, since you asked,
I'm not fishing for more time to talk, but you know, I often get that question about where do you think interest rates are going to go? Well, you know, the Bank of Canada yesterday decided to stand pat on interest rates. And so I think it's just simply a matter of time, Ivan, that interest rates are going to go up. The Bank of Canada is going to make another release in March, and then their next one is in April. If it doesn't happen in March, expect that we're going to see something happen starting in April. And, you know, our estimate anyways is that we could see short-term rates move in about the 125 basis points, so like 1.25% between now and the end of the year. It's a real struggle with the Bank of Canada, right? They're really trying to balance off a whole bunch of things. You know, what's real inflation? What's that real number? What does the job market look like? What's the economy actually doing? You know, what's the Canadian dollar actually doing? And trying to be in lockstep in some ways with the Federal Reserve in the States. Because if the interest rates go up in the States, then people will flock there. The Canadian dollar probably goes down a little bit in value, which is really good for us. But if we move ahead first on rates, then the Canadian dollar is a little bit more attractive. It'll go up versus the US, makes our exports a little less attractive. There's lots of different factors at play that they have to balance out. But, you know, rates have never been so low. So expect them to go up. And between certainly now and the end of the year, probably a percent and a quarter. So look at your operation, look at your business, see how you feel about it. What can you tolerate, what you can't, do a sensitivity analysis, see what rate, you know, with some numbers and play what that looks like in terms of the impact on your cash flow. And if it can't tolerate a lot on the short term, then maybe it's worthwhile starting to look at locking in for the longer term to protect yourself on the upside because rates are going up.
Great. That's certainly a question on most people's minds. I should have remembered that because one of my nephews just yesterday posted to the hive mind, you know, Facebook and everything else. He's renegotiating his mortgage. Got a beef farm in Bruce County. He's been quoted anywhere from 2 to 5% from various credit unions, banks, FCC, and so on. So I'm sure it's on a lot of people's minds if that mortgage is coming up. So thank you.
For sure. For sure. And sometimes, you know, you've got some short-term stuff, even variable stuff. You know, just look at what you can see, what you can do, and gird yourself, it's coming.